Eyes on Longmont, offering a diversity of topics about our community that will inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy this edition of Eyes on Longmont.
Hi, Miner Bill Butler here to tell you about mining in Rocky Mountain National Park. Most of you, when you think of the park, you think of this. A beautiful scenery, untouched by man. Not true. Man had been in Rocky for 12,000 years. The biggest impacts, though, weren't from prehistoric people, but in historic times. There were ranches and farms and dairies and resorts and water diversion projects that you would not believe. Sawmills, and so on and so on and so on. All that is in that book there. Incidentally, that is sold by the Estes Park Museum Association. They make all the money on that. If you want to know more about these mines and anything else, that's your source. Now, the park is actually at the northern end of the Colorado Mineral Belt, is that circled up at the top of the screen. It goes diagonally from about Jamestown all the way down to the San Juan Mountains. If you look carefully, you can see some of the other major mines on there. There are a lot more that don't show up on this map. Some mining history, 1765, Juan Maria Rivera led 2 expeditions up to the San Juans looking for silver, looking for clavo de plato. These are like nails, they're about 4 inches long. They're an amalgam of silver. They're of high enough quality that the Spanish were making jewelry out of them. And naturally, the Spanish wanted to know where the silver was coming from. They never did find out. In fact, Rivera never even made it to the Rio Tizon. That's the Colorado River, known to the Spanish. And didn't find any silver, probably because the Ute directed him away from all those places. They wanted to remain the middleman in any trade. And if they told the Spanish where they were, they would not have been the middleman. 1807, James Purcell tells Zebulon Pike in Santa Fe about gold that he found in the South Platte River, but nothing ever came of it. 1858, Russell and Bates found some gold up in the mountains, but it wasn't really widely advertised. And then came John Gregory, who found the gold-bearing seam in Gregory Gulch between Black Hawk and Central City, and the Pikes Peak gold rush was on. And of course, that changed the state forever. Some mining terms: prospects, used to find ore; placer, that's loose dirt surface mining; dredging, mechanical dredging; lode or hard rock mining, that's the tunnels and shafts; an adit is the opening of a tunnel. Open pit mining is rarely used in Colorado for gold or silver. Hydraulic mining, pressurized water cannons, extremely hazardous to the environment and not used. And then there's mills. Mills are where the gold is turned into money, or the ore is turned into money. For mining claims, these laws are in 1872 are still in effect. In fact, I think you still can make a mining claim for $1.92 an acre. Not a good deal for the government. Placer surface mines, you get 20 acres. Lode, you get a lot more, 300 feet by 1,500 feet long. And mills. Miners could claim extra land if they're going to build a mill. And this was highly abused, miners wanting more land. They say, I'm going to build a mill there. They never did. They just wanted the land. Special provisions for Colorado. The claims were 100 to 600 to 1,500 feet long. You had to file your claim in a market in the field. Usually this was a can with a note in it saying who you were and your claim and all that. You had to register it in the county recorder's office, and you had to dig a prospect pit above the mine to prove that you were serious about mining. Placer mining is the simplest of all mining. All you need is a shovel and a gold pan. And all you do is you take the pan and you stick it down in the dirt and you swish it around. The lighter dirt will fall out of the pan, and what's left is the gold. That's pay dirt. Another way of doing that is the same idea as a rocker box. You throw the dirt in the top, put some water in there, shake the heck out of it, and the gold will settle out and it riffles down the right-hand corner of the thing. Very effective, very easy. You do a lot more dirt with one of these than you can with a pan. Now the dredge, this is the snowstorm gold dredge in South Park. It was there in 1976 when I came to the state. It is still there. It is on private land. It is an active mine, so the public is not allowed to see it. Notice the size of this thing. I mean, people live in this thing. Does dredging still go on? Oh yeah. This is a modern dredge up in Clear Creek. Dirt is thrown in the top, or it comes up from the bottom, and then comes out the gold supposedly at the right-hand corner there. If you're going to go mining up, trying to do some placer mining up in the mountains, make sure you don't jump somebody's claim, because most of the river has been already claimed. Hydraulic mining, this is from California. This is an extremely environmentally unfriendly way of mine. Whole mountains could be taken down with hydraulic mountain, and hydraulic mountain was outlawed early. Lode or hard rock mining, it was prospecting, adits, tunnels, and shafts are what's involved in this. This is a mining claim. This is a prospect pit up above the Pack Rat mine in the park. If you go to Leadville and you go north to the north part of the town and go out in the lodgepole pine there, you'll see thousands of these pits out there, people trying to stake a claim. Typical mine, notice the talus slopes coming out of it. That is the unproductive rock. There doesn't have any gold in it. This is two vertical shaft mines down in the San Juans. Notice the tall head frames. There was an elevator that went up and down into the mine where ore carts were loaded with ore and brought up and taken out to a mill. And here's the mill. Here's the Argo, one of the best preserved mills in the state. And the way these things work, this is where you make the money. The raw ore is put at the top of the mill, and it goes down to the stamps and then to the Wilfrey table. These are some of the stamps. And some of these stamps are huge, 10, 12 feet high. They are very heavy. They bust up the rock so you can get the gold out. The Wilfrey table, that's that thing at the bottom there. It's just like the old gold pan, and is that the dirt comes in the top, water runs over it, the heavy gold will settle out, and the dirt will go on down. There are 3 mining districts in the park. There are 46 of 505 gold districts are in Colorado. 7 of the 25 silver districts in the United States are in Colorado. Colorado has a lot of mineral wealth. These are the 3 main districts. The Longs Peak, there's 19 mines. The Campbell, there were 20, and then the Lead Mountain, about 34. That's a lot of mines in this small area. Now, mines on the east side of the park, I didn't go into all of them here because there are a lot of them. The 3 big mines that you can walk to today are the Eugenia, the Big Indian, and the Pack Rat. This is the Eugenia mine. You notice the vertical boiler. These boilers were very popular for miners because they're easy to move, easy to set up. They didn't get a lot of power because of the nature of the device, but it was enough to do pumps, water pumps, and do some other stuff in the mine. This is what it looked like on the left. On the right is what it looks like today. The mine has been closed. It was closed by the Mineral Service in the 1950s. They went through the park and closed almost all the mines. This was the Eugenia Buckhouse in the 1950s. Wasn't in bad shape, but by 2001, you can see it's almost down to nothing. This is the prospect hole above the Pack Rat mine. It's 10 feet deep and about 15 feet wide. It meets all the specs for finding a claim. And this is the mine in operation in the late 1800s. The mine is actually back in that little dark place on the left, and there's a little cabin there. Some of the remains of the cabin and the other things are still there today, but the mine has been collapsed. I had one of the rangers crawl in there, and he said it goes back about 40 feet, and that's it. There's nothing inside. It's been thoroughly cleaned out. Another mine was the Jimmy Fields mine. Very little known about this, or even Jimmy Fields. We do know he was in the park. He built this mine. It is under that pile of dirt. He evidently built a cabin or something on top of the adit. Who knows why? Now the west side of the park, that's where all the real interesting mines are. And they're the Lead Mountain and the Long Peak districts. Most of them are owned by the Denver Middle Park Mining Company. This is one of their stock certificates that we got. Somebody brought it into the park for us. This is the Lead Mountain District. This is a map of the district that we've never seen this before. It was brought in by Frank and Victor Robinson. They were descendants of Shipler. We'll talk about Shipler in a minute. And they had this map. This is one of the first times we finally got an idea of where the mines were and the names of them. Most of them we knew where there was holes in the ground, but this is the names, because with the names, of course, you can trace it through the county records. Some of the mines, the iron mine, not much there, collapsed in. Taylor Slope in front of the Star Mine, you can barely see it through the trees there. The Diamond Crystal Mine, again, collapsed in. There's a wheelbarrow here, there's out there on Emerald Mine. When the CCC came through the park, they cleaned up all the old mining debris, so there's very little left. If you notice the design of this wheelbarrow, it's 100 years old. It hasn't changed much from wheelbarrows you see today. This is Shipler's cabin. There were two of them there. He actually was one of the first settlers in the west side of the park and lived there until about 1914. The North Star, or Shipler's mine, you can see it on the left. Well, the mine is closed up with bat bars. The idea is to let bats go into the mine and use it for their roosts as they can come in and out, but keep people out. There's a very sturdy way of doing things. You can see this Taylor Slope on the right. If you go up there, you walk up to the Lulu City Trail, you can't miss this thing. The Taylor Slopes are just huge. And at the bottom of it is an ore cart that the CCC did not clear out. We got lucky on that one. But it's a pretty standard ore cart. The Triumph Mine is on the way to Lulu City. It's a vertical shaft mine. You notice on the head frame are some writing, Shipler, of course, and all the other names you see there are from the CCC boys who went up to clean up the mines up in the valley. Interesting story about this mine was that there was actually a door on the mine, so you couldn't see the rock. The rock had been salted. That you take a shotgun, you fill the shotguns with gold, shoot it into the rock, so it looks like it's original. And then what they did is they sold it to a bunch of people saying, look, this is a good mine, you want to buy this thing. And really after they took the money, of course, they ran, then they opened the door up and there was nothing there. A good story, but that story appears in a newspaper, so who knows, it might be true. Right now, this is all that's left there. There were several mining towns on the side of the park: Fairfax, Gillette, Teller City. Most of them were not much of a mining town. Teller City was a big town. Some of the remains are still there. It's on Forest Service land in the forest. You can get to it and see it, but you won't see much. There's just a couple of log cabins that are left. But it had houses and blacksmith shop, a doctor, businesses. It was a going concern. It mainly was associated with the Wolverine mine, which was just outside the park. It was one of the few paying mines in the whole area. The mining towns in the park were Lulu City, Gaskell, and Dutchtown. Lulu City and Gaskell were the main towns. Lulu City took care of all the mines in the north part of the park. Gaskell mostly was a shopping head for people coming down the mountain from the Wolverine Mound. This is Lulu City in 1889. Notice all the buildings and everything there. And this is it just before the CCC got in there and cleaned it up. And clean it up they did. There's nothing left of it except this bear trap, and it's there. And this is a deadfall. The bear goes in after thing and trips the lever, and the actual lock falls down on them and kills the bear. There's a story that only was used once and it didn't work. This is a map of Lulu City. John Gubbins drew in 1988. John grew up in this Comanche Valley, and he went to all these mines. In fact, he found most all of them before we knew about them. And he drew this map of the town. You can see it laid out there. It's a long, linear town. This is what it's like today. The path is Main Street. That's the Grand Lake and Lulu City Wagon Road. There was a wagon road that went from Grand Lake up through Gaskell, Lulu City, up over Michigan Pass, and over to Teller. Gaskell, what's there today? Nothing. There's a hole in the ground, and this is what's left of a building. We're not sure if it was associated with Gaskell or with a resort that was in the area. Gaskell, John drew this picture. Gaskell had a liquor store and a wine vault. They said it was best west of the Mississippi. Who knows? Dutchtown and Hitchens Cabin. Hitchens was a hunting camp built in the 1950s. Dutchtown up there actually was a very small place, about 4 cabins. It was built by Germans who built these cabins, mostly for summer. They were kicked out of Lulu City for fighting and carousing. And so Dutchtown, of course, the German word is Deutsch. This is what that town looked like. Not much there. In fact, you go up there, you can still get to it, but you'll be disappointed that there's so little there. Here are the districts again in the park. 3 major districts. There are mines in the middle of the park. They never paid. There's nothing there. In fact, none of these mines paid, and that's why they collapsed. That's why mining didn't work in the area. Low quality ore. The distance to the mills, the Argo in Idaho Springs was the closest mill. It's about 60 miles away. Now that was all had to be getting in ore carts, horse-drawn wagons. It's unreliable and expensive. In the wintertime, of course, getting ore out would be almost impossible because you have to go up over Berthoud Pass. Okay, low-grade ore and high transportation costs. The mill made mining in the area to be a money loser. Most all the mines have been closed up, they're sealed up. The ones you can get to, there are some that are very far back in the backcountry. I don't know if anybody's ever done anything with them because they're so difficult to get to. But the ones that public can get to are fairly easy to get to. They are on an interpretive tour that goes up into the valley. Anyway, the mines failed in the park. And finally, our man tells us about mining. And don't forget, Mark Twain was a miner at one time, or worked in the mining in Nevada. That's it. Thank you.